Bob comes in with a question regarding video cards. He has an interesting first world problem dilemma, doesn't he?
He does.
Which super premium graphics card does he want to buy? Amazing, awesome AMD or amazing, awesome NVIDIA? Shall we take out the Ferrari or the Lambo tonight, my dear? URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. It really is, that's what it comes down to.
It does.
And the reason I put it that way, not to knock Bob, thank you for the support, we appreciate the question. But sometimes when people ask, should I buy a Ryzen 9 5950X or an i9 12900K? You are kind of asking, do you want the Ferrari or the Lambo? They're both amazing in their own right, and they both have their quirks and features.
They do.
And sometimes it comes down to personal taste, because if you buy either one of them, it's going to be amazing. Now, the actual question here is, why don't you read it, my love? Sorry.
If you had to choose between a 6900 XT at 1282 US or a 3080 Ti for 1659 US, 1440p, 144 Hz gaming on a 34-inch ultra-wide, 64 gigs RAM, 11700K, which would you suggest upgrading a 2070?
Both of those graphics cards will be a dramatic and noticeable improvement over your 2070. You will not have to run a benchmark to tell you've upgraded. Speaking from experience, 34-inch 1440p ultra-wide user had a 2070 Super, which is a little better than a 2070, but not much. Pretty close. And that was amazeballs. Now, that is a fairly hefty price difference. $400 is not nothing. If they were the same price, this would be a harder argument. In general, the 6900 XT is the right choice here because of the $400 lower price. You can take that $400 and you can put it in the hip pocket National Bank, and it's there for you when you're ready to upgrade to your next graphics card or to do whatever else you need to do with your money. The 6900 XT also has 16 gigabytes of VRAM.
That's true.
Whereas the 3080 Ti only has 12. And for everybody who says, well, come on, they're both fine, you don't need more VRAM than that, Cyberpunk 2077 will use more than 12 gigs of VRAM at 1440p ultra-wide, speaking from 300 plus hours of experience in that game. Some other games, Call of Duty and whatnot, will also use all of that VRAM. They'll run on less, but then you get into NVIDIA's texture compression. In other words, it works and it fits on less VRAM, but you aren't seeing the same image as everybody else because it has to compress the textures in order to fit them into VRAM, because otherwise the performance would drop off as it swaps out to main RAM. Having said that, if you plan to keep the card for only maybe 2 years, maybe you're going to wait through the 40 series and then buy a 50 series when the 50 series launches, it probably doesn't matter. The 12 gigabytes of VRAM is probably enough for the next 2 years. It's not ideal, but it'll be fine. But it's $400 more. Unless you want to play Cyberpunk.
Unless you need ray tracing for your games, because you don't tell us what games you're interested in playing.
If the games that you want to play utilize DLSS, ray tracing, or are NVIDIA optimized titles. Some games are AMD optimized, looking at you, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yep.
Some games are NVIDIA optimized, looking at you, Cyberpunk. So the 3080 Ti is going to be faster in some games, slower than others. It's more expensive, but its ray tracing and its DLSS are second to none. And FSR is no DLSS comparison.
Even 2.0.
No, it isn't. To anybody who thinks it is, it isn't. I've looked at it. It's no. NVIDIA is a whole generation ahead of AMD on both ray tracing and DLSS. They really are. I think AMD will catch up. I think the next generation of AMD cards will close that gap. I don't think it will close it completely, but it will narrow the gap. That might be a better way of putting it.
Yep.
I just sort of want to reiterate the whole point that you're looking at two very premium options and two amazing graphics cards.
And some people are just NVIDIA people, and some people are just AMD people. So
I would buy the 3080 Ti personally because I've seen beautiful ray tracing.
yes.
And I also play single-player story games more than I play multiplayer online games. Battlefield 2042 might support ray tracing. That's not the game for ray tracing. That's a game where you need maximum frame rate, minimum latency, the best possible response time. I mean, if you're in online combat with other people, pretty takes a backseat to performance. Fortnite has ray tracing. My daughter, who has an RTX 3070 and a Ryzen 9 5900X, puts Fortnite in performance mode because she's kind of a competitive player, and she plays on a 1440p 144Hz monitor, and she's got to get those frags. She's better than me.
Yeah, I know.
So if you play pretty games, maybe the NVIDIA card makes the most sense. If all you care about is max frames per second, maybe go the AMD card. Hopefully that helps you out, and that advice sort of scales all the way down, at least to a point, although I would say that ray tracing kind of falls apart on the lower level cards because it just doesn't have the performance for it. I mean, I tried Cyberpunk on a 3070. Yeesh. There's a reason I have a 3090, because that was a bad experience. Thanks for the question, Bob.
127, Junior. Ray tracing is irrelevant, he says. So.
I am allergic to low-end CPUs.
Oh, there we go. Well, I think you got your answer, Bob. If ray tracing is irrelevant, then go the 6900 XT. It's cheaper.
I don't have a problem with that. I really, really, really don't have a problem with that. The RDNA 2 cards are good.
Obi says he can't tell the difference between ray tracing on and off for Fortnite, but he can tell performance mode from normal mode.
I've seen side-by-side comparisons in Fortnite. It's not as dramatic as Cyberpunk. It wasn't designed for it. Cyberpunk was designed for it.
Yeah. Richard, thank you. He says he's still using an RTX 2080 and it still works for his needs. Do you think I should hold off for the 4080 if I could find a decent priced 3080? Well, why would you get a 3080 if a 2080 works? But then the problem is if you go to a 4080, remember they're going to be more power hungry, which means you need to double check your power supply, and there's going to be a new...
We don't know when the 40 series is launching. It's probably going to be in September or October. We don't know availability. They might sell out instantly. We don't know pricing. They will be faster, of course. They wouldn't release them otherwise. Normally, I wouldn't recommend upgrading this late in the cycle. It depends upon what you can get for your 2080 if you want to sell it, and it depends upon what you can find a 3080 for. Somebody earlier commented that there's a 3080 for sale on Newegg for $9.99. If you could sell your 2080, food for thought. If he could sell his 2080 for $600,
$600? Damn.
he'd be getting almost what it cost new multiple years later.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be paying maybe $400 to upgrade, but he'd be getting a noticeably faster card.
Correct.
And then he can make the decision when the 40 series comes out, is it worth upgrading or not? It's not what the 3080 costs. It's what the cost difference is between the 2080 and 3080. What can you sell your card for? What's the new one cost? And is that difference worth the move?
And can you easily sell it? Because some people are set up to sell it and some people aren't.
Yeah.
If you're set up to sell it...
Chris says, please come join us on the Discord.
We don't buy it much. Does that answer that?
Yes. URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. $15 gets you a Windows 10 Professional OEM key that is a real product key, activates directly with Microsoft, use it forever as it links to your Microsoft account and it works through reinstalls. Get a full copy of Office 2019 Professional Plus for about $50 that redeems at setup.office.com using your Microsoft account. It also works forever through reinstalls. We have been using URCD keys for almost 3 years now and recommend you do so as well.